For today's project, we're going to need wrenches in the sizes of 13mm and 14mm, as well as a tape measure and a hacksaw. To start, we're just going to thread the knobs for the foot post on each end, and then we're going to insert the foot into the bottom of the post, and you should feel the magnetic shaft grab the foot pretty quickly. Now, after quickly here sorting the rest of our material out, we're going to mount the swivel casters to the corner of the brackets. Now, to do this, we're going to insert the bolt to the bottom, then we're going to come back with the lock washer as well as the flat washer, and then the hex nut on top. Now, to do this, you'll need the 13mm wrench on the underside and then the 14mm socket to tighten it down on the actual nut. Now we're going to add the extension piece to that sidebar there, and all we need to do is bring these bolts, some of the washers down, and we're going to tighten it down with the 13mm. Now we're ready to cut down our extension piece here, and we want to make sure that we measured it correctly in the spacing. But this is where you can use a hacksaw. I used my angle grinder, but you need some way to be able to cut this metal down to size. Now when I was all done with this, I just took my wire brush and cleaned it up a little bit. Now we're ready to put that extension piece into that bracket.
Wait a minute, how did you get the cross beam in there? Yeah, about that. I forgot to hit record when I was doing that. But I'll tell you what, I'll walk you through exactly how I did it.
Okay, but before you show us, I'm gonna go put the heater on.
No! We need more subscribers before we run the heat.
Really? On a serious note, I really did forget to film this portion, but I wanted to share this with you because this was a crucial part of the installation, and I want to walk you through how I was able to get it done. If you're like me and you're installing this on an existing mobile base, your cross beam right here is not going to have that extension piece to accept this piece. So, to solve this issue without having to manhandle this whole thing, here's how I did it. I loosened these two back bolts here, these two front bolts here, as well as the two front bolts on the opposite side. Once I did that, I got two buddies, one on each side of the table saw, just to relieve this weight of the table saw on these two front plates. They don't need to lift it and kill themselves. All they need to do is slightly rock it up so it's out of play, so the weight is now distributed to the back rather than this front portion. When they do that, you can take your rubber mallet, tap it on each side, and get this piece taken out. Once this piece is taken out, you can slide this portion out, replace it with the cross beam that has the piece to accept the beam, and then push this piece back into place. You might need a rubber mallet just to slightly tap it, but once you do, you can have your buddies return the weight down and then tighten up the bolts. Now you're ready to go on to the next step of getting this piece and that piece installed. Okay, now we're able to bring in that extension piece and slide in that bracket. And then here we just slide in the other extension, and we can get it underneath those legs of that extension table, and then slide the beam into it. Now we can come back and we can tighten down these four existing bolts to hold that into place. So now that you've watched this video, I hope you have a better understanding of what goes into the actual assembly of this and how we can get it attached to an existing mobile base. And it's not as intimidating as a process as I first thought it was, and I left a 2x4 underneath there, making this a non-true mobile base. So now that this is all put back together, I really have the mobility back in my table saw, which is huge in a small workshop. If you're interested in this shop box extension piece, I'm going to put a link in the description below. If you decide to use that, it really does help us out as a channel. So thank you very much for that. As always, we really do appreciate the support. Think about subscribing, as it really does help us out, and we really appreciate you coming on board. Until next time, though, thanks for buzzing by. You go make some dust.